Welcome to a special season of Appraising's Appraisers on Purpose podcast. This season, our podcast is showcasing past and current appraisers who have used their valuation knowledge and skills to invest and build wealth. How did they do it? What have they learned along the way? What can we learn from them so you can be wealthy, wise, and financially free? Your host is real estate investor, entrepreneur, and appraiser Michael Hobbs.
Welcome to another episode, a special season here of Perusing's Appraisers on Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Michael Hobbs, and I am excited to share a little bit different perspective this season through the eyes and ears and maybe even blood, sweat, and tears of our guests, peers in the appraisal industry who are doing just a little bit more than just appraising. You can do what you can do, and we're going to do what we can do. So please hit that subscribe button and go ahead and continue to share, because your generosity is what carries around this podcast and continues to increase not only our listenership, but the breadth and depth of our future guests. So thank you for what you're doing there. And most importantly, you're going to find this fascinating. You're probably going to make a lot of money before it's over. And most importantly, you might be biased towards action. And after you hear Carlos's perspective on things, I wouldn't blame you either. But first and foremost, we want to thank Carlos for joining us. Carlos, thanks for joining us for this special episode in season 11 of Appraisers on Purpose for Perusing's Those Who Invest. So, welcome, Carlos.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Man, you're welcome. Man, this is a topic near and dear to my heart. And that, in order to kick it off, we want to know, Carlos, were you born this way? Or how did you get into the appraisal and valuation profession?
So yeah, definitely wasn't born this way, but I was born into the industry.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 2 uncles and an aunt that are appraisers.
No way. Holy cow. You may win the award to date for the guest with the most amount of relatives that are not your grandparents. That's impressive. That is impressive. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, ever since I was young, my aunt and my uncle were appraisers. My other uncle, he started later on in life. Actually switched from airplane mechanic to becoming an appraiser.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And then me, myself, I've always been interested in real estate because of my dad. Not an appraiser, but was in investing and a realtor. So I'm sure we'll touch base with that later on.
Yeah.
So basically, out of high school or before high school or during high school, my aunt and my uncle offered me to see if I would be interested in becoming a trainee, an appraiser.
Wow.
And they let me come out with them, and I was hooked. So right out of high school, that's what I did. I pursued my career in real estate appraising.
That's fantastic. I just want to take note of this. I heard you say right out of high school. That's amazing. So in that place, trying to just get back to, sometimes it's a little further back. It takes a longer amount of time to go back those many years. But so we're thinking what, late teens possibly you're getting in the industry?
So it was offered like I was probably around 16, 17.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, they asked me, hey, you want to do a ride along with us, see what it's all about, see if you're interested? And I said, you know what, let's go ahead and let's do it. My uncle always had cool cars, Corvette and all this, so I guess that always, I'm a car guy, so I was like, yeah.
Speaking your love language, huh, Carlos? I love that. Oh my goodness. So he said, you come become an appraiser and I'll give you one of my cars.
I wish. It wasn't that.
Oh, how did it go? Tell us about it.
Good. Like I said, we went out, did a couple of I'm sorry, let me let my dog out.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy. That's fantastic. So here you are as a teenager, you got an aunt and uncle that come to you and say, hey, we need some help. Why don't you come join us? And what I hear you share is that you said, hey, I like my uncle's cars, and this catches my attention. It's visually appealing and a little possibility of earning some money at the process. And so you say yes to join them learning to do appraisal.
Correct. So
All right.
we went out, right along, loved it, loved being out on the road, loved being able to see other people, see houses, meet new people. So that was really cool. And then later on, once I graduated high school, Then I started doing the trainee courses, and then that's when the real fun started happening. Obviously, really going out to the appraisals, learning all the research and all that, the analytical work, writing up reports, and I just loved the freedom. I loved the profession. I loved the real estate. Yeah, it definitely caught me my attention right away.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And your aunt and uncle, well, what market were they working in, and what type of properties were they focusing on?
So they're all three of them are residential appraisers.
Okay, residents.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then they live, so I'm in the Miami-Dade area, and they
Yeah.
are Broward County. So they're the next county over from me.
Got it. Fascinating. Fascinating. So you get to do these ride-alongs. So for you, being in Miami-Dade, so some of us are a little older than you, Carlos, and our image of Miami is Miami Vice with Don Johnson. You know, Crockett and Tubbs reference, cruising around in beautiful sports cars with people wearing not much clothing. I assume that's exactly what it was like for you doing ride-alongs as you got into the appraisal profession.
Just like it.
Just like that. Just like that. Oh my goodness. That is something else. So what was it really like back in the day?
No, I mean, definitely Miami's a beautiful city. I mean, obviously I'm a little biased, born and raised here, so I'm definitely biased. But just being on the water, the people, it's just a great crowd, great place to be. And then the real estate. The real estate's amazing. So, I mean, granted, they're not all $1 million properties. You have those and far in between, but just everyone has its own different story, basically. Every neighborhood has its own different story.
Yep.
And then I started back in '06, '07. So that's when the market started increasing. So you started seeing flips and all that, properties increasing on a daily basis, quote unquote. Things were blowing up back then. And
Yeah.
and then obviously we know what happened then afterwards.
Wow. So you get an opportunity to come into the industry right before we're going to have the biggest crash, hopefully of your lifetime.
Correct.
And how did that go for you?
I mean, it went good. I mean, I feel like it taught me a lot already off the gate. Obviously I was brand new. I didn't have that much experience, but I think being able to see that, seeing the properties increasing, seeing that economy just exploding and then basically just shutting down was eye opening. But because of that as well, the goal was for me to work with my uncle in his shop. He had a small shop, which he still has open today. But because of the bus, he did slow down tremendously. So I actually got a position with where my aunt worked, which was a large corporation.
Oh, wow. So you got to go into the corporate side of appraisal. Where'd you start out?
Started with LandSafe.
Oh yeah, they were big. Oh man, they were big.
Yeah, so I started with LandSafe. They were still owned by Countrywide.
Yep.
And within, I think, the year of me starting, they were already Countrywide closed down and got bought out by Bank of America.
Oh my goodness. Just because they hired you, they had to sell the company?
Just like that.
Oh my goodness, that is something else. So what was it like going from working with essentially a small family business to going to a corporate environment?
You know, since I mean, I'm so close to my uncle and my aunt. I mean, I still had them there. Trust me, I was calling them probably every single day. I'm asking them for their advice. They're my mentors, and they still are. So definitely still had that connection with them. And then I still also had the connection because my aunt also worked at LandSafe. And so I still had that. Obviously, it was a little different. It was a lot busier, which, I mean,
Yes.
not complaining about that. And I did my own thing, basically focused on Miami instead of Broward, where they were. But like I said, they were a phone call away.
That's fantastic. And what was the training environment like, or the learning environment for you like at LandSafe?
So Lancey, I was already certified there. So I wasn't really basically, you think corporations, you think companies, but since we all worked independently, we all worked out of our own home office or private
yeah.
office,
Yes, sir.
there wasn't really that much of a camaraderie or like a group. We just maybe get together once a month or quarterly,
Yeah.
but it really wasn't much. It was really me being independent. But again, with me still having my family members to reach out to.
Got it. Got it. And then for you, you get this opportunity to work for LandSafe, it becomes Bank of America. Did you keep your whole appraising career there, or did things change up?
Yep, things stayed there. We ended up doing the bulk of our work was a lot of REOs. You know, there were REOs every day, so we would be appraising those properties every 60 days it was. So I definitely stayed with them, and they started slowing down probably like around 2011, 2012.
Yes.
Through those years, so Bank of America already actually had their staff appraisers, and then LandSafe was bought by them. So they kind of joined two groups together. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of layoffs in between those years.
Got it.
And I stayed on board with them until 2013, 2014. And unfortunately, at that point, I got cut and I got laid off.
Oh, man. And that's when you became a real estate tycoon.
I'm still trying. I'm still trying to get there.
It's all right. It's all right. Hey, you're moving. You're further ahead than most of us, so we can all learn a little bit from you. So you end up getting cut. Do you go back to the family, or do you go out on your own, or what comes next?
So I actually wanted to go a different path. I kind of said, okay, I did the appraising. Let me see what else I could do, venture into. So I actually got my real estate license, became a sales agent with Coldwell Banker. And with my experience with appraising and REOs, I was actually able to become an REO listing agent.
Really?
Correct. Yeah. So I started listing from 2013, 2014. That was basically my go-to, my day-to-day was being a real estate agent. And then I did keep my license. I opened up my own company just to keep my license active. And I would appraise just here and there.
Oh, fascinating. What was that like to be on that side of the process and seeing just an interesting, not only range of homes, but circumstances, situations, and, well, let's just call it specialness?
Right. You know what? It was very eye-opening for me. And I feel like I definitely gained a lot of insight because, as appraisers, what we have and what we utilize and what we focus on mostly is data, which is great. I mean, we need data, but when you're an agent, you're actually dealing with the buyers. You're actually dealing with the sellers. You're actually dealing with the renters and the landlords. And it was just completely different. And it really did help me put my shoe in, or my feet in other people in the buyer's feet, shoes, to really see what they were looking for, what they don't really are not that much interested in, what areas they do really like, how they compare areas, because we were kind of stuck in this bubble that you have to stay within a mile radius or this not within a market. But how do buyers actually look for properties? Are they actually sticking within a certain little range? Some are, but others are not.
Yes.
So it just really, it really changed my perspective in even with real estate and appraising.
That's amazing. That was amazing. How did that influence your understanding of determining value? Because some people referred to those times as trying to catch a falling knife.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, I think since I was able to really speak to sellers and buyers and really see how they are going out there and thinking about properties, and especially when we're doing, refinances and we're doing purchases, that's who we should be focusing. We should be thinking like the sellers. I mean, or like the sellers and the buyers, but mostly we should be thinking like the buyers, right?
Yes.
So I think that really just it helped me understand that.
Hmm. Got it. That totally makes sense. Not only understanding it, were you able to use that information to help influence your ability to determine pricing? Because that was very difficult for a period of time back during that debacle.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you see, there are a ton of properties that were listed back then, and they were on the market, and I mean, every other house basically was on the market. So yeah, you definitely got to look at that data, and you got to see, okay, what are the properties that are selling, what are moving, what are people looking at, what do they want to buy, what don't they want to buy, and then that kind of help put everything in perspective and data and everything, and also like utilizing. So it worked both ways, right? Because I used my appraisal knowledge to value or to price properties correctly when I list the properties, right? Yeah, I didn't want the properties just sitting on the market for no reason. That doesn't help me out.
No, no.
So use that knowledge of looking at the data to determine a good price for the house listed, and most of my properties that were listed sold right around my price. And then again, went back the other way around and used what I've learned with dealing and walking with buyers and sellers, and using that in the appraisal approach and looking at data differently.
Wow. Fascinating. Fascinating. So, given your exposure to multiple sides of the marketplace, obviously having this opportunity to be a broker, did you stay in the broker lane? Did you continue to appraise?
So I stayed in the broker lane for several years, not much, probably a good 3, 4 years. I'm still licensed, but I'm not very active. And I actually went back to full-time appraising probably around 2017, 2018. I think 2018 is when I really went back to full-time appraising. But along the way, I decided, you know what? We already ventured into becoming a sales agent.
Yeah.
I'm an appraiser. What else could I do? So I actually started buying properties as an investor.
All right. Now we're talking about it. All right. All right. Tell us about this. So what happened? What tempted you to cross the line and step into the fields of gold and four-leaf clovers?
Well, like I said, my dad was actually a very small time investor. He flipped maybe 1, 2 homes, but then he also had a couple of rental properties himself. So definitely that always intrigued me. It was always a goal of mine. And then the appraising was my tool, or yeah, my tool to get there basically. It was the way to make the income, and then to then go ahead and start investing. And then when I became a realtor, I think that just kind of like solidified everything. I was able to meet other investors that were already doing it. And with that gave me the confidence to go out and just give it a try, basically.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So you got to see first-person experience around family flip or two and dealing with some rental properties.
Right.
Oh, amazing. Absolutely amazing. What type of rental properties were there?
They were just single family homes. Nothing crazy, just small little single family homes. Like he did buy a couple of vacant lots. Some of them he still has today. But yeah, just mostly single family homes.
Wow, that's amazing. That is so good to see and hear. So how old were you when you first got to change the toilet? It's kind of like one of those manhood kind of things, maybe not manhood these days. We don't say it that way. We would say adulthood, like you're adulting into properties when you get to dealing with toilets.
Yeah, so my dad's very handy. He's actually an electrician by trade. So
Wow.
yeah, he did everything basically himself, and he would definitely take the kids along with him. So we would be painting, or we would be helping him build vanities. And yeah, there was a lot of time spent at those houses.
I love that. Oh man, it's such a beautiful thing. And I heard you got first person experience because your dad was a tradesman.
Yes, unfortunately, I don't carry his blood, though. I do carry his blood.
Oh,
I'm not like him. I'm not handy at all. I It's horrible. He tried so hard to pass that along to me. My grandfather was also very handy. Actually, both of my grandfathers One was a
Really?
mechanic, one was
Yeah.
an electrician. I don't know what happened to me.
Oh,
Uh, I'll do it, but it takes me forever and I'll get frustrated. So I'm not the most handy person, but it is what it is.
oh my gosh. That is, I hear you. I hear you. I remember how overjoyed I was when Home Depot opened the first 24-hour store in Chicago. And back then it was considered a class 5 store, which is the largest version that they would construct, which means it basically had just about everything. And suddenly, instead of going out late nights with vodka and Red Bull, I was over at Home Depot talking to people in the store. I'm like, how do I do this? And what is this? And I don't understand what size this is, but here's what I've got. And they're like, you know what? And this is, I'm a little older. So that means we didn't have cell phones you could take photos of things with. And you're trying to describe and you're walking up down like, it's this thing right here. Are you sure? And I'm like, I think so. If it is, you need to buy this. If it's not, you need to buy that. I'm like, I'll just take both and bring one of them back. So I can appreciate your sense of like, yeah, it wasn't all that handy.
Yeah, definitely was relying on help, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that is good stuff. So here you decide you've been an appraiser, you've been a car enthusiast because you saw your uncle ride up in a Corvette. You know, you've been a staff appraiser, you've been out on your own, you've been a broker, you've been through the foreclosure crisis, you decide to start investing. So what was your first, what were your first opportunities?
So first one was actually the first deal was actually the easiest deal ever, the easiest money I probably ever made. I came across a property that I can't tell you the exact the story, but it's because of my memory. But I came across a property that was vacant, and at that point, I was part of these investment groups, national investment groups. This one was called Korea.
Okay.
So I actually took the property and I took it to the lead
Yeah.
person there, and I said, "Hey, you know, I think this would be a great property to get into." So that's basically all I did. I brought them an address. They were able to contact the owner. They were able to work out the deal,
Great.
put it under contract,
Yeah.
purchased it, and I think I took home like 15 grand from that or something.
No.
And I was like,
Are you
this
kidding?
is amazing.
You're like,
So
who wants to do an appraisal for like a couple $100? If you just get a check for 15 grand and they did all the work.
that was my first taste in investing. So I'm like, I mean,
Hit me up. Send me that $15,000 check. I'll send you an address. That's all cool.
But-
I'm in.
right? So from that, the next property I got into was I actually purchased it myself. Well, I must say I do work with a business partner. My business partner is best friend from high school, and he actually got into real estate as a home inspector.
Oh, okay.
And the company he worked for, they're also a GC home inspection. So he has a lot of knowledge with the handy part, right?
Yeah.
So we found a property. Or I found a property. We put it on the contract, and I ran all the numbers, all the analytics of
Sure.
what we need to buy it at, how much we could put into it, and then what we need to sell it for. And then basically gave that number to my buddy. He grabbed that number. We hired workers. We got it fixed up.
Yeah.
And then we listed the property and we made a profit.
Oh, once again, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
You didn't do all the work. You got some help and you made some money.
Right?
All right. So here's the thing. People that listen, they like details. So what kind of property was it?
All right. Single family house. It was a small 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house.
All right.
And back then we picked it up for, I want to say like around 130,000 ish. I want to say.
Okay. What was that? About a 800 square foot, 900 square foot single story property?
About that. Yeah.
Okay.
A 900, maybe a little bit bigger actually, maybe 1,000 to 1,100. It was
Just,
very,
well, if it was 1,000, you're in for like not even $150 a foot on the purchase. And it's a little 2-bedroom. So what do you have, like living room, dining room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms and a bathroom?
And then it does have a little floater room in the back.
Oh, yeah.
What we call it floater room.
Sunroom.
Most people probably know as like a family room or a summer room. Yeah.
Was it, and now, and for those of us that are not regularly in the housing stock of Florida, is a Florida room a fully conditioned room, or is it kind of like a open air porch with some, louvered glass you can, or like, uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Most.
windscreen?
Yeah. The 3 walls are usually all glass, like all windows,
Okay.
but it is within the roof line. And it does have, most of them at least, do have central AC.
Oh,
Come in.
okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very, very. Got it. So here you get this. All right. So you got this opportunity there. And then what did you do to the property?
So what did we do? We did a lot. I mean, we actually went in and actually needed more than we expected. So we ended up doing plumbing work. They had cast iron pipes. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with cast iron up there.
In Chicago, yeah, we're quite familiar with it. I can't speak for other parts of the country because I haven't lived there or done rehabbing or remodeling, but I'm pretty familiar in the Chicagoland area. And cast iron all depends on zoning, depends on building codes, not zoning, it depends on building codes and some density issues and what have you. And Chicago's different from the suburbs, but so you mentioned cast iron, keep going.
So yeah, cast iron tends to rot out. So you need to replace that.
Yep.
So we had to replace basically all the piping. We did the kitchens, the bathrooms, the flooring. There was some subflooring because it was a cross space that was needed. I believe we did roof.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a pretty full, not a stud job. I mean, we did take it down to the studs, but
Wow.
it was definitely a lot of improvements.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. How many months were you into this project? From like once you purchased it, your buddy, he's in a home inspection GC space, 3 months, 6 months, a year?
I want to say we had the property ready to sell on the market probably by, I want to say between the 4th to 5th month.
Oh,
And
nice.
then we actually got on the contract fairly quickly. So I think all in,
Yeah.
I would say tops 8 months.
Okay. Got it. Well, it sounds like it must have been a nice looking property. So here you got, what'd you sell it for, like $1 million?
No, that. What did we sell for? It wasn't a home run or anything like that. I think we ended up making a total of between like 20 to 30 grand on it. So
Not bad. I mean, you made 20, 30 grand. You were in it for 8 months. You bought it for 140. You sold it for what, about 350 or something?
yeah, around there.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. How many hours did you have to work on that?
Not much. Finding the
Oh,
deal.
perfect. So let me get this straight. Take 20 or 30 grand divided by not much. That sounds like a lot per hour.
Yeah, it's a lot more profitable than appraising, I'll tell you that.
And you don't have to do it all the time, right? I mean, people always talk about the just challenging situations of termites and tenants and toilets, but you're like, hey, I'm not even dealing with those problems. We're just fixing this baby up and then we're selling it to a new owner.
Right. And yeah, of course, but this is a podcast for appraisers. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we could say, okay, but the risk. What's the
Yeah.
risk? The risk is making sure we value it correctly and we list it on the market correctly. Now, there's also risk with the rehab. There's always things that may come up. So I've learned to put a buffer on all our
Mhm. Yes.
you know.
I love that. Yeah.
And so far that's been successful. We maybe had one or two that went the wrong way.
Yes.
But all my deals have been pretty successful.
Mm-hmm. I would like to believe that it was not luck. I mean, you didn't, just come out of high school and stumble into something with no experience, but you had worked for family members. You'd done a lot of field work. You'd gotten to work in a large organization that processed a lot of assignments. You got to work through the foreclosure crisis on the sell side and really understand buyer motivation in a way that most appraisers don't. And then on top of that, you chose to get into investing. I would say there might be a little bit better training ground, but not significantly. I don't think it was luck, my friend. Definitely don't think it was right.
Yeah.
All right. Love it, man. Fantastic.
Background has helped out.
Yeah, totally. So what came next? So, you and your buddy partner on that one, and then you retire.
We're done.
No, not retire. Okay.
Since no.
I love it. All right. Then we need your program. You need to offer us something, like, $49 a month or something, and talk to Carlos. Call Carlos. That's how it goes.
80% of all businesses fail within 5 years, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. With so many roles and responsibilities that must be managed and have nothing to do with appraisal reports, is it any surprise that it's hard to keep up, much less having a sense of peace, stability, and profitability that comes from growing your business? Given all of this, you might already be thinking about exiting your business one day. Don't miss the limited opportunity to work with Michael, a real estate expert and professional coach. He has worked with more than 300 owners and entrepreneurs to find their highest and best use by solving problems that reach their most important goals. To impress decades of learning in today's by working with Michael. Michael is famous in real estate and business coaching. With his help, you can accelerate your growth, increase your quality of life, and earn more money, all while ultimately doing less. Michael helps you not just grow your business, but also find new purpose in it and in your life. If you're ready to take control instead of being controlled, contact him on LinkedIn or email him at michaelh@paru.com.
No, we just continue flipping.
Okay.
We did a lot of joint ventures. So us within our professions and within the investing club, we met a lot of people.
All right.
We ended up so where we slack or where we're not good at is actually finding the deals.
Oh, all right. Okay.
So that's where actually joint venturing came in, and wholesales, but joint venturing basically is we joint venture with a lot of wholesalers, which I'll explain. Wholesalers are they're investors that basically find properties.
Yes.
They will put it under contract. Usually distressed properties, right? They'll put that property under contract for a certain price, so let's say $100,000. And then they will feed it out to other investors, which are usually flippers or landlords.
Mm.
And then they'll put a number on top of that.
Really? Okay. Got it.
So they may sell it to someone they have it on the contract for 100. They'll sell it to someone for 115 or 120, and they collect that 20 grand.
Wow. Okay. Fascinating. So you get exposed to this whole world of people involved in the sale and disposition of properties.
Exactly. So a lot of them, that's what they know. They know finding the properties, getting them on the contracts, and just moving them. They don't really know the aspect of fixing up a property and listing it and selling it. So that's what they saw what we were doing, and they would joint venture with us. They would say, hey, we have this deal. Could we partner up together and work this deal together? And then that structure would look different. Sometimes we would bring money. Other times we didn't have to bring any money. We just had to bring the time to deal with it, deal with the rehab, and then list the property and sell it.
Oh, fascinating. Wow. And so you mentioned you got an opportunity to do a number of these kind of transactions. Walk us through one of them that came together and whatever role you had in it. Because this is a different dimension of using the knowledge that you have and earning money based on your experience, your knowledge, your time, your effort, your energy.
Yeah, of course. So let's say one of the deals I remember was brought to us. They already had it under contract. I analyzed the deals. They always give me their numbers. Okay, this is what I think it's worth, so and so. I always take that with a grain of salt. I always analyze my own deals and say, okay, this is what I think it's worth. This is where we should be, or I think we should be. Then this deal, so we purchased it with hard money,
Mhm.
which I could get into that if you want me to, or I can skip over that.
We're going to come back to it, but go ahead
Okay.
for the moment.
So we got hard money. So basically, all we had to do was bring the down payments, and then the rehab budget for this particular project was covered by the hard money loan. Okay, we didn't have to bring any additional funds for that. And then, like I said, we oversaw the project. We basically planned out the rehab, we oversaw it, and then once it was completed, I went ahead, I listed the property, and I sold it. Numbers there, I don't remember the particular numbers on this deal that I have in my mind. I want to say maybe later. Yeah, like around probably like two something. I think maybe
Yep.
around 240, around
Sure.
there. The house was actually very clean. Very, very, very clean. So this one was very minimum. We did some paint. I think we changed some countertop. We did landscaping.
I love you, man. That's beautiful. That is so good. And obviously there were multiple people involved. You chose private lender. You said hard money. The whole idea is there's bank lending. There are community banks, there's wholesale banks, there's those banks that you get a owner occupant type loan for. Think Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae or FHA kind of opportunities. And then there's a lot of other lending options out there, one of which are private sources of capital. Hard money has become such an interesting space because it's filled by so many different parties, everything from some guy in a car with a briefcase to, some scene out of The Sopranos to really well-established and well-run lenders that are not part of the banking system, but operate essentially just like banks and have a lot faster execution. They take on more risk and they charge higher interest rates. But as you said, they help you get things done, such as buying the property and rehabbing it, and not even having to put money in the transaction. And then on top of that, you'd run the numbers. You saw there was a big equity cushion in it, and there was a lot of money to be made. So what lender wouldn't want a piece of that opportunity? If they're in that space, they're not a national lender or a regulated lender. They're not dealing with the OCC or the FDIC. They don't have people crawling up their back of their necks, looking over files on their case. In this case, they're lending their own money or the monies that they have gathered, pooled from others. So you guys do that. And so what sounds like you made, about 150 on that flip?
No, it wasn't that much on that flip. I think maybe a total of like maybe 50.
Nice.
And again, that we had to divide that between the parties. So
Good for you.
I mean, we definitely took home. It was definitely a profitable deal.
I love that. I love that. And once again, how many hours you think you have in that? What? 20? Maybe?
Maybe. I'll think 10, 15. So yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So you're making like $1,000 an hour or more for your willingness to use what you've already learned.
Right. Exactly. And then you don't know, you also, I want to point out that you don't need, I don't want to say this is not a lot of capital, but you don't need so much capital. So my first deal that we bought for like 130 something.
Yeah.
I believe we had in total 40 grand to our names.
Good for you guys. I love
So
it.
it's not like we needed $130,000 and plus the rehab money, plus, a lot of people kind of get stuck with that. And that's where the hard money comes into play.
Yeah. I totally hear you on that. I think that's one of the biggest fallacies. I think back to even my early days when I came to, relocated after college, changed cities, changed parts of the country, didn't know anything about real estate. And, people always used to tell me the hardest thing to do was to get the money. Once you get in, what you realize, money's the easiest thing to get. The hardest thing to get is good property. And I appreciate your honesty, Carlos. You're like, we were really good at finding the properties. We let somebody else go find the properties, bring them to us. I would analyze it. And then in this case, one of the examples you gave is putting together some private capital along with some other parties to, buy something, fix it up, and then sell it to a interested party, and everybody's happy.
Right.
Oh, amazing, amazing. What was another transaction you guys did?
Another transaction. I mean, there were just a couple of them like that. Well, let's see. We did get into a duplex. This one's kind of like we didn't lose money, but we basically broke even. So I'll talk about that one.
Okay.
It's in the same neighborhood as our first property that we purchased. It was a duplex. So we picked that up. Unfortunately, we did inherit the property with some troubled tenants. So we had to deal with that, getting the tenants out. First one left pretty easily, wasn't too much of a trouble. The second one took us much longer. So that kind of delayed things, with holding the property and being able to really work on the property because we didn't really want to start work with someone living in one of the units. So
May I ask, because I don't know about.
we can, but not much because they weren't very happy with us and we didn't want them to damage what we just finished doing.
Yeah. I'm just curious. I don't know the laws in that state. I know the laws on a number of them, but not that one. When it comes to tenants, I'll be the first to admit I'm quite biased. I've owned an awful lot of buildings. I've dealt with an awful lot of tenants. There's a lot of good people out there, but there's some really not so good people out there. Sometimes they show up as tenants. What are your requirements legally to deal with the tenant? We don't need to talk about all the other stuff you might have done, but legally, what are you supposed to do with tenants in Florida? In Miami-Dade specifically.
Illegally, you're supposed to, if they don't pay on their rent, you're supposed to provide them with a 3-day notice that they have to pay.
Okay.
Once that 3-day notice, if they still don't pay, and I haven't dealt with this for a while. I actually work with a realtor that now deals with it on my current property. So,
Oh, yes.
but yeah, I know you do have to post a 3-day notice, and then I believe there might be a 7-day notice that you have to post. And then if they're still not complying, you basically have to go through the eviction process.
How long is the eviction process in South Florida?
Last one I did with an attorney took us about maybe 2 to 3 months, and it gets kind of costly.
Oh, yeah. I'm also smiling.
Yeah, those are never.
I'm only smiling because in the city of Chicago, people would do backflips to get something done in 2 to 3 months. So, but it still sucks because that's a cost to capital. So you got to deal with these tenants that finally get out. Obviously, it costs some extra time and expenses. And how did the rest of the project go?
So we went in there, we rehabbed, we did what we had to do, and actually that property, which could have been the issue. So okay, I should back it up. Every time I pick up a property, I always have an A, B, definitely A and B scenario. First one was when we were buying is to flip it. Second one was if we can't flip it for whatever reason, I cannot get that price that I want or make a profit, then I look at the rent, I do a rent analysis, and I say, okay, is it if I refinance out, are we going to be able to pay for that mortgage and either break even or make money? So I always had an A and B. For whatever reason, I think I went into this property with B in mind first and not A. So renting it first and then not selling it. So once we did that, and with the time frame that it took to taking out the tenant, and like you said, hard money, the interest rates are costly, and they start adding up. That kind of changed everything where we were, and we needed to be. And I believe also the market was also slowing down at that time frame. So there was a couple of things that happened, but basically we weren't able to rent it for a good enough price that made sense. And then with the property listed, it just wasn't getting attention. So basically, finally, a cash buyer came that actually owned a couple of properties around the area, and he offered us cash. And for that deal, we actually broke even. So, I was in a couple of months into the deal, and really didn't see anything out of it. So it happens. It will happen, you know?
Wow, fascinating. What an amazing, I mean, because sometimes you make money, sometimes you don't. I mean, given this is, you mentioned, and I appreciate your thoughtful entry towards the investment, which is there are more than one ways. There are multiple ways to potentially earn your return on a property. Had you kept that property, would you been able to rent it and, break even or be cash flow positive?
So at that point, so we were actually with that in that property with another partner, and I guess I don't think we all saw eye and eye, and that's
Mm,
why we did because yeah, there wasn't too much. If anything, we were breaking even, or we were just over breaking even. And of course, this is breaking even from like your mortgage. Then you have to account for repairs or anything like that, or and vacancy. So yeah, I think we would have been maybe even or below. But
got it. Interesting. Ah, I appreciate you sharing that. And then, do you own any rental properties yourself?
yeah, so after doing the flips, obviously the negative part of doing flips, there is a negative with maybe other taxes, right?
Well, actually, the negative is because you made money, the government simply asks for a piece of the action.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a partner in your transaction. Now, it doesn't have to be that way. And as people get more sophisticated and they learn about things like exchanges and other approaches towards building up depreciation and changing the box on their tax return about being an active investor versus passive, there's a lot of things that can be done to help out. But for the typical person, the government's actually a partner in your deal. So you had to pay some taxes, is what I'm hearing you say.
Exactly. Which, like you said, I mean, we have to pay taxes. Anytime we're making money, we have to pay taxes most of the time, right? I mean, that's fine. So then we decided, okay, because of that, we wanted to start keeping properties,
All right.
rather become a landlord. And then number one, be able to hold on and ride the train of appreciation, as well as, making the income from the rental, as well as using that income to then pay down the mortgage. So we were able to, what was our first property? Our first rental property was actually a building. It was a 7-unit building that came to us. Great price. It was around 300 something thousand dollars. It needed work. Every unit needed to be redone.
No.
Also, it was inherited with tenants. A lot of them not paying very well or not paying at all. So we did have to basically, everyone had to leave. We redid the entire building and then basically start from scratch and get them all rented out. Actually, couple of the tenants, they come back. The originals, I think we had like 2 or 3 original tenants to come back, and then the other units we have to rent out.
Mm, got it. Got it. Wow. That's something else. And then, so you get the property. Did you have any expectation of keeping any of the tenants, or did you expect that you would, within 3 to 6 months, have 100% turnover and re-tenant the building at much higher and better rents with better tenants?
So we did increase the rent for all the units because we remodeled the building. The building was kind of rough. So we did remodel everything. And because of that, and because of the market also, we started charging market rents.
Good.
So because of that, yeah, only 2 or 3 of them were able to come back. We had 3 that weren't able to come back, 3 or 4. So those we listed on the market. And then I would say we were probably around 80 to 90% occupied.
Oh, wow.
To
Okay.
to this day, we still haven't been 100% occupied. So I'm hoping I have 1 unit still vacant. I still own the property.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, not the same unit, not since then. Obviously, it's been occupied and they have left. But yeah, that building, I think it's because of the room, the size of the units, and then also the room count are all 1 1s. It's been a little difficult getting them rented, and there's a lot of turnover. But yeah, we still have the property, and
Wow.
it's definitely a good one now.
That's fantastic. For those of us that may not be familiar with the benefit of owning a 7-unit property. So you got it. Is it 7 one-bedroom units?
Correct.
And so what was the approximate rent they were getting when you bought it? And approximately what are you getting per unit now?
They were renting around $600 to $700,
Nice. Okay.
and now our highest rent is $1,900.
Oh my gosh, is that beautiful? Oh man, just ring the bell. My goodness. Holy smokes. I mean, you take 7 times 6, which is 4,200. Let's just round it up to 2 because it's nice. It's a big, nice number. 2 times 7 is 14,000. I mean, you basically did not exactly, but you put another $8,000 to $10,000 a month through the property. Granted, you had to do remodeling, you had to reposition the property, you had to re-tenant the property. But I mean, do you ever feel bad that you make so much money from doing so little?
It's
Tenant, I get it. Landlord, management, whether you do it or you pay somebody else to do it, there's something to be said. I am oversimplifying this. But seriously, I mean, this is you applying your knowledge. I mean, this is why we're doing this season, because these kind of opportunities exist. Even if you only come across one a decade. I mean, geez, come on.
it's 100. Yeah.
Congratulations. That is phenomenal. I love that. And given your experience, because some people are like, oh my gosh, you don't want to deal with tenants. I'm like, that's why you have property managers for. But aside from that, I don't wish to dismiss them so simply. How has the process been of owning, in this case, a multifamily property?
So I'll be honest with you. This one's been back and forth. We've had some tough years. We've had some rough and tough tenants. It's not located in the best area in town. Definitely, I'm residential, not commercial, but I believe you guys do ratings in the commercial world. So I would say maybe between a C and a D.
Yeah.
Is the area. So definitely not the best area, but we were able to put that behind us, and focus on the actual property, focus on what we needed to focus. We did bring on a property manager as well as a realtor, so they basically deal with all the day to day. Now, we still get called because if there's a toilet backed up or something, our guys that go out, so we still hear about it, but it's well worth it. I mean, I would definitely do it again.
I totally appreciate and respect it. How many years have you owned that property?
That one I believe we bought it in 2019.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what'd you pay for it and what's it worth now?
We paid around 3 something. I think it was like 370 total.
Got it.
I haven't done an appraisal.
No, everybody would, yes, I mean, you had to do a lot of work on it, 7 units, even if you're in it like 30 or 40 a unit, you had another 250 to 300,000 fixing it up probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Currently we have a mortgage for like around 300.
yeah, good for you.
And I would say it's probably worth at least $1 million.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you've got almost 2K a month a unit, you don't. But like say if you did, you take 214, let's back it down to like 12-ish. You got your operating costs, take out, debt isn't part of your capital consideration, your income consideration. And then, you look at, and how are taxes? Because a lot of people, taxes obviously are a huge factor in terms of what makes it to the NOI. So low taxes, you're paying like 10 or 20,000 a year. You're paying like $500.
I believe we're under 10,000.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. Like, well, you'd probably pay like 40 or 50 grand in Chicago for that same property. Yeah. So, I mean, you look at that and say, hey, even if your cap rate's only, say, somewhere between 7 and 8, not even better than that. Oh, it's very viable that, you'd have that type of return. And like you said, you're just letting the tenants pay off the note. It's beautiful.
Areas transition. It's changing.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of value in the land because a lot of developers are buying up land and lots, and they're building luxury towers. So,
oh, you're gonna watch that value skyrocket.
we wanted to purchase our neighbor's lot.
Yes.
And they gave us a ridiculous price. Like they told us like 900 or a million.
Oh, never.
Find out in like 6 months or a year they sold it for like 400,000.
Dang, you could have borrowed against your existing property, recapitalize that to buy the one next door land bank, and just sit and wait for a developer to come along and give you a ton of money in the next 5 to 10 years. Oh my goodness. Carlos, this is why we wanted to do season 11, because it's not about you're suddenly going to become the next Blackstone or the American Homes for Rent or Cap REIT or pick any name that you want that is some phenomenal company. It's these little opportunities that really can change things. I'm really inspired. I'm grateful for your sharing. For those like you who have some appraisal experience, some appraisal background, what are one or two reflections that you would offer for them? Like, hey, take a serious consideration of this so that you could then take an action and start to build wealth instead of just earning a paycheck.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so again, I don't want to come. I'm definitely not a tycoon or anything like that. So I'm very, very small time. Okay. And I understand as appraisers, we get busy 100%. But you do have that. I feel like if you just take maybe 1 or 2 hours a day, you could find a way to fit in a property or flip or something, your first investment property. I definitely think you could. And even if like with me, if you need to team up with someone that maybe you're not handy, or you need some help finding the properties or whatever it may be, I mean, do it. I think it's well worth it. And again, it may be scary and risky, but I think the rewards outshine the risk, and especially with our knowledge in the industry.
Love that. Yeah, absolutely love that, man. That's fantastic. Carlos, man, thank you again for, coming and joining us for season 11. It's, the Appraisers on Purpose podcast is also an opportunity for appraisers to build wealth. And I've always believed fundamentally that the appraisers should be the most affluent individuals sitting around the proverbial table, because they do the hardest work and they have the greatest insight and perspective, and your experiences share that. Sometimes you really win. Sometimes you play, but you always get to learn. And as long as you stay in it, you definitely win over the long period of time. So really appreciate it, Carlos. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, Francis, I told you, I knew you'd end this by being in a much wealthier position than you started. So, hey, you too can reach out to Carlos. He hasn't started his program yet. Carlos, he's going to be like $99 a month, $49 a month, call Carlos, 1-800-CALL Carlos. All right, man, whatever it takes, buddy. I think everybody here's the thing. If we transform the appraisal profession where every appraiser out there is suddenly like banking it, which they should be, then who doesn't want to get an appraisal? You're like, oh my gosh, this is the best way to build wealth. And someone else is paying me to do all the research. You get paid to do the research, then you get to apply the research and go buy your own buildings. And then other people will give you the money. Like you said, private lenders. It's phenomenal. Hey, here's the good news. Then they'll be like, look, you keep your little couple $100 for the appraisal. You want my skill in that thing? You got to pay me a couple grand, because that's what it's really worth. I mean, brokers take 5% of the transaction, and title agents take a lot of money for not a lot of work. I mean, come on, we take the most amount of risk for the least amount of pay. It's time to really drive things up. It's a great way to do it. Great way to do it. Love it. Carlos, thank you so much, buddy.
All right, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Appraising's Appraisers on Purpose. Your enjoyment, enthusiasm, and encouragement are contagious. What an honor to highlight the paths and achievements of our guests. Thank you for doing what only you can do, clicking subscribe, clicking like, and then sharing this with 2 peers. When you signal to Spotify, LinkedIn, and YouTube that appraisers are valuable, everyone's life and work are elevated. We'd love to hear from you. Post a comment and then message on LinkedIn. Again, thank you for your time listening in on Appraisings. Go create the change that you seek.